Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I'm Henry Higgins III and this right here, this is a video I should have made years ago. Now, as the content warning from the opening advised, there is going to be a discussion. There's going to be a discussion on some heavy topics, but rest assured there is a positive ending and unintentionally almost a perfect visual metaphor from where I was and where I am now on my own mental health journey. To be blunt, there were a lot of struggles over the last decade or so. A lot of thoughts of self-termination and more than one dry run to see if a particular method using resistance bands would work as intended. Spoiler, I didn't go through with it, but they would have worked. Um, for a long time, I used to pray to whichever gods would listen that the next time I went to sleep would be the last time I went to sleep. I even wrote, not a very good one, but I even wrote a poem about it. How very emo of me, some may say. And I had attempted self termination twice when I was 28. Um, First was when I tried some pills, which didn't do anything. Like, literally, they didn't even do what they were supposed to do. Um, then I tried emulating my wrestling nickname, the Hangman, but was found by someone before it really took hold. And from there, I kind of convinced myself that I was so useless that I couldn't even turn myself off without fucking it up. However, after meeting my future wife, the darker thoughts were mostly kept at bay. Even more so after my son Josh was born. They were still there, obviously, but as cliche as it sounds, their light guided me down a better path. When Josh and I's mum decided to separate, it was for the best. We were both mature enough to understand that the relationship, it wasn't working as we wanted and hoped it would work. We were not making each other happy, and time would eventually lead to contempt and ill feelings on both sides. But we saw that, we were mature enough to understand that, and we were friends before we got together romantically, and we've remained friends since we split and ultimately divorced. However, when we split, I was obviously back to living on my own and being alone with my thoughts, especially during the quiet nights. So, being alone with those thoughts was a nightmare for my mental well being. I'm sure there are many of you out there who can relate to the intrusive thoughts when you're alone and you have nothing to do but listen to them. I hit a really bad period of depression, but you wouldn't know it outwardly. There's a saying, I don't know who originated this. Some people say it was Robin Williams, but it wasn't. There's a saying that people don't fake depression, they fake being okay. And they fake being okay because we already feel like a burden, so we don't want to add to that. And that is a cyclical, self destructive thought process. Um, so, so, uh, so during a period of a few years, quite a few years actually, um, there were many thoughts of self termination. Thinking about how everyone's life would be better without me in it, which is patently ridiculous, but no one ever said that this kind of mindset was designed for rationality. So, as well as thinking those thoughts, I used to self harm. I used to punch myself quite hard. I'd smack the shit out my chest, my upper arms, my back, my thighs. Nowhere that would leave visible marks in public. But the biggest overt action was packing up all my collectibles in boxes that filled up the spare room, which previously was the display room and the YouTube studio, which you would have seen in some of my older videos. The reasoning behind doing that, again, I mentioned rationality isn't the strongest suit in these situations. The reason behind doing that was if I successfully destroyed my CPU, and you will have noticed a lot of Terminator analogies due to YouTube's policy on certain words in videos. If I was successful, it would be one less thing for my family to deal with if I'd already packed all my things away. So, how did we go from that way of thinking and coping slash not coping to where we are and where I am today? Well, like every journey we ever take, it starts with a single step. And for me, that was remembering a quote, and I don't know who it's attributed to. It's been attributed to many other people. I don't know who originated the quote. It's never been verified or validated who actually came up with it. But I remember a quote about self-termination being a permanent solution to temporary situations. And a problem will remain a problem unless you do something, anything, to resolve that issue. Now, that doesn't magically mean everything is rosy and everything's going to be fine, because here's what the majority of self help gurus don't tell you and won't tell you: you will always have problems. There will always be something to tackle. So, taking on that philosophy, I took steps to reverse the trajectory I was on, and the first was making an appointment with my GP. It was that simple. I made an appointment with my GP, who in turn set me up with a therapist. And the therapist, she was amazing. Now, look, I know it's her job to listen, but she genuinely listened as I poured my heart out. She listened as I went over many different topics, including childhood, friendship, relationships, work life, personal life, what triggers dark thoughts, and what exercises I can do to avoid them, etc., etc. And with the help of seeking therapy and talking to someone, then finding the courage to talk to others while also taking great joy and pride in the awesome young man Josh grew up to become, things turned around. And they turned around slowly at first, but then greater and greater strides were taken. And I'm not saying that will work for everyone, because again, that's another thing that a lot of these self-help people won't tell you, is that there is no one size fits all solution to these type of things. Essentially, find what works for you and embrace that. So with that, as I said, some greater strides were taken. And outside of that, online communities I am a part of played a great part in my recovery also. So the likes of, and again, this is going to sound really twee and cliche, but the likes of content from people like OSW Review, Cultaholic, Kinda Funny, Danny Ryan, Kate Nix, Nikki Hooray, Bright Kelly, New Rock Stars, Cargill, director of the Black Phone, his output online and interactions, Call Me Chris, and more recently James Gunn and the Peacemaker crew with that show, and with the Peacemaker After Show podcast. It's a small thing, but they distracted me from negative thoughts, and as I say, over the time, they've continued to distract me from negative thoughts and gave me a reason, however silly it sounds, gave me a reason to look forward to something in the future. Another thing, and I need to obviously shout this I did do DDP yoga videos for a long time on the channel. I continue to do DDP yoga, I just don't do the videos much anymore. Maybe that's something I should consider restarting. But rereading DDP's book, Positively Unstoppable, and like, I mean, actually taking in the words and messages, that also did wonders. So, thanks to taking that first step, seeking out therapy, seeking comfort in friends and family, seeking comfort and that safe, happy place from with the creators who have no idea how much they helped me and how much they help others. I overcame my demons, and while there are still intrusive thoughts, there always are going to be. We're always going to have them. People are always going to have those type of thoughts. It's how you deal with them and how you act on them. So while there are still those intrusive thoughts, they're much less frequent. And if any of those I mentioned who helped are watching this, I thank you for that. And all of this, thank you for listening to that rambling for the last 10 or so minutes. All of this brings us to the happy ending and why this video, one I should have done a long time ago, why this video came to be. And I mentioned earlier that I had packed away all my collectibles in boxes. This is what it looked like at the time. This is what my spare room, the studio room that you'd seen me shoot some videos in, looked like. And I'd had enough of feeling sorry for myself. And with Josh now off to uni, he's off to uni now, he's in another city, it was time to give myself a mental slap and get shit done when it comes to returning the spare room, the display room, to the display room it was always meant to be, and a YouTube studio room. I also mentioned that unintentionally the restoration became a visual metaphor for the restoration of my mental health and my well-being. So I'm asking you, if you've stuck with me this far, and I appreciate you doing so, I'm asking you to join me on this visual journey as we get to the bread and butter of the channel, Toys Not Toys, on display for the oohs and the ahs of the watching audience. So as I say, show the picture again, this is how it began. Everything packed up in boxes, stacked high and haphazardly like the dark thoughts in my head. I told you it's going to be a visual metaphor journey. Before we can get to the restoration though, there was work to be done, just like going to the therapist to unburden my fears and my feelings. The room had to be unburdened of the boxes filling it up. So then came the graft, and like talking with the therapist, looking at what the issues were and what triggered them and what to put in place to avoid them. Similarly, before the items can be put on display, we needed something for them to be displayed on. This led to me buying 6 new bookcases in one smaller unit in total, assembling them over the course of a week until they were in place, ready for the figures to be put on display. There was also a new, sturdier table for sitting behind when shooting the videos, especially future unboxing ones. I'll probably still do some of the smaller unboxing ones with the webcam and the phone at the computer table, because it's got a nice little section here that I can put displays, put them on when I unbox them. But for the larger ones, and I do have some in mind, there's some items on order, or there's some items on the way being shipped. But that's obviously videos for another day. So I bought 6 new bookcases and a smaller unit, as I said, and it was tiring. It was tough on my legs. Anyone who's caught one of my earlier videos knows I have an issue with Perthes disease, sometimes called Legs-Barre disease, which affects your hips. But for my self-esteem and my mental health, it was incredibly healing. Once that was done and the shelves themselves were ready, I set aside the next day, which was a Saturday, to take everything out of the boxes and put them back on display. 6 hours later, non-stop, the shelves were full. Some items I gave away to charity or donated to local fundraising efforts, such as raffles and tombolas. There's quite a bit going on, obviously, as we lead up to Christmas. As it turned out, I didn't have the room for everything. But of course, like a true collector, that didn't stop me buying new things and finding room for them somehow. And here is a short video showing the empty shelves and the final result. Plus, if you stay until the end of the video, you'll see the pics of the figures and the collectibles on the shelves in detail. There's many Harley Quinns, obviously, but also figures, other figures from Marvel, DC, Ghostbusters, Tron Legacy, one of my favourite movies, vastly underappreciated, and the figures are pretty damn cool. Clerks, I was really happy to get Clerks. I got 4 Clerks figures, and there's many other franchises there. I also moved the living room around a little bit, with 2 stacked bookcases being split and new to be hung on the wall. They've been way in there since Christmas last year. Some new framed posters were put up. The first was an awesome Michael Myers poster, a gift from my ex-wife, Josh's mum. Told you we're still good friends. And another Harley Quinn. Others are waiting on frames, so keep an eye out for those going up. And since the time I actually wrote the script for this that I'm reading just now, and started shooting the video, I've actually hung up another Harley Quinn. I've put up my little small cinema marquee light box with Harley Quinn name on it. I've put 2 of the Hot Toys Harley Quinns on display, and I've actually also hung up my machete and my Jason Voorhees mask on the wall, which is just over there off camera. You can see it on a little picture here now. And that, friendos, is how I met your mother. That's how I restored the display studio room in my flat while restoring my mind palace to protect me when the darkness banged on the walls. It's an amazing what a declutter can do, and it was almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy that anytime I looked in that room the way it was, it put me on a downward cycle, and then when I was on a downward cycle, I didn't have the energy or the desire to fix it because it was like, what's the point? But going in now, I've been in a few times. I actually wrapped some Christmas presents today as well. Just being in that room with it bright, with everything on display, with things that make me happy, I can go into that room and give myself, it's almost like a save room, like a healing room in a video game. I can go in and I can rejuvenate myself. I can feel good about myself. And I know they are physical things. I know they're just things. But latch on to whatever can keep you going. And it can be difficult to admit that you need help. It's big difficult to admit that you want help. There's shame. There's feelings of failure. Shit. Even pride will get in the way. But trust me, it really does help to speak with someone. You, and I hope that whoever's listening to this, if they need to hear this, you are not alone. You are never alone. And even though not being alone doesn't mean you can't be lonely, it is up to you to take that first step. So please, if you are feeling like there's no point in tomorrow, make tomorrow the point. Reach out to someone you can share your fears with, share your worries with. You have worth. You are worthy. You are loved. And no matter how bad it gets, no matter how dark the clouds are, someone loves you. Someone will miss you. And they will miss you if you're gone. They probably miss you right now because if you're like me, you've retreated into yourself. And we need to smash the stigma of mental health and mental recovery. The stigma that even stopped me making this video for years. Stiff upper lips and burying it down, that's not the way. Reaching out, exploring your feelings, exploring your fears, manifesting your own path, That, as the Mandalorian said, that is the way. I will have some links and phone numbers in the description below. Please use them. They are there to help, they are not there to judge. And if this video helps even one person, it will have been worth it. If it helps more than one person, absolutely fantastic. That one person and that one person can help another person. And together, and that's the important thing, together we can achieve great things. But to end the video, here is a pictorial tour of the figures in the new display layout as promised, showing the figures in all their glory on the shelves. Please take the time to enjoy what you see. Let me know in the comments below what was your favourite from those shown. If there's anything, because some of them were turned sideways, so you can only see like the side of the box. If there's anything you wanted to maybe see in more detail, let me know. I can throw that in another video, a follow-up video. But thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch this video, to listen to me go on about mental health and the stigma around it. Please like and share the video. This is the cliche part of every YouTube creator's little spiel. Please like and share the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and if you are struggling, please talk to someone. Okay? So look after yourselves, look after each other, and of course, please stay safe and stay awesome. Goodbye.